All right, so I think we can go ahead and kick things off. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Kyle. I am the Executive Director of Alumni and Family Engagement and Annual Giving, and it is a pleasure to be with you all today as we kick off day 2 of our virtual family weekend. While nothing compares, of course, to being able to see each and every one of you on campus, I must admit it is beyond exciting to be able to connect with you from all across the globe. After visiting the Family Weekend Hub this morning, I saw that we have viewers from Europe and Asia and all across the nation, and I so appreciate all of you for taking the time to join us today. I would also like to take a moment to thank our entire family community, including our members of the Family Leadership Council, for your support, encouragement, patience, passion, and most importantly, for sharing one of your most valuable assets with our community, your incredibly remarkable students. With all the twists and turns over the last 2 years, we appreciate how dedicated, involved, and connected you've continued to be in support of our entire campus community. I would also like to thank my entire team from the Office of Engagement and Annual Giving for planning this event today. It truly takes a village, and they've worked so hard to curate this program and to showcase some of what makes Pitzer so special. But now, without further ado, we have an incredible panel, including members of our Office of Student Affairs and a special presentation from our Family Leadership Council representatives. But before we begin, I would like to start us off with a special message and community update from our president. I would like to introduce Pitzer College President Melvin Oliver. Thank you, President Oliver, for joining us today.
Thank you, Brandon. This is a great opportunity. Although I must say, over the past 2 years, I've missed seeing all the bright faces and appreciative comments that you get when you're in person with someone. I have a hard time connecting with screens. But boy, I love connecting with people. And that's what I miss. So it's really great to be able to connect with so many people on the screen. So it's a great showing of folks for Family Weekend. I want to express my deep appreciation for all the parents and family community. You know, if you remember when you first came and I said, once you're connected with Pitzer, you're part of the family forever. And that's the way I feel. You're an integral part of the Pitzer family. And we depend on you, and we thank you for your support. And it leads to the importance of engagement. And those people who are especially engaged, the Family Association and the Family Leadership Council, they play a big role. You know, without you, we couldn't have pulled together and done what we've accomplished in the past couple of years, facing the challenges we faced. That's my dog, Bailey, and I'm hoping he's not going to bark forever. But if he does, we'll just keep going. Excuse me. Whoops. Suzanne is corralling Bailey now, so I'm sorry. We couldn't have been successful without parents supporting your students. This hasn't been easy for our students, and we have to say, we have so much pride in our student community. They continue to thrive despite the pandemic, despite some of the restrictions that really have limited their college experience. But you know, they continue to exceed expectations academically, athletics, of course, activism, which is their favorite thing to do. Many of you received the letter that announced that I was leaving. I want to say thank you to the many parents that gave me notes of appreciation. Many of you know that at the beginning of my second year at Pitzer, I was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder, amyloidosis. And many of you wrote and were concerned about my health. I want to say I'm in complete remission. I'm in good health. This is a family decision. We always have milestones in our life. And Suzanne and I had major milestones this past year that caused us to rethink our future. And we really thought that it was best for us to move on and move into retirement after 45 years of a professional career. But one of the things I know is that I leave Pitzer in a good place. In my state of the college address that I gave, I noted the post-pandemic Pitzer has persevered and remained strong. We can look confidently to our future. And that's because we've made decisions that have positioned us well. Our board has responded to my upcoming retirement by naming a chair of a presidential search committee, Tom Brock. He's an alum and a national leader in educational research and policy. The board has agreed that the search will be more open than in the past. So the finalists will be brought to campus for campus-wide interviews with all of our constituencies. And an announcement of an interim president will probably be made sometime in the next week. I can assure you that Pitzer College will not miss a beat during the transition. And, you know, as I get ready to leave, I look forward, not back. And when I look forward, there's so many exciting things that are going to be happening over the next several years. At our recent board meeting, the board approved resolutions to move forward on the financing of the Keck Science renovation project with Scripps College. We're going to have a groundbreaking that'll take place in May. So over the next year and a half, that construction will be taking place. We'll have a expansion of our science facilities. The new Raines Athletic and Wellness Center at Pomona will be opening next year. The college, after a period of limited faculty hires, will be searching for an unprecedented number of new faculty over the next several years. We continue to bolster our hires in advancement and communication. And we have a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of a generous gift to enhance our Strive to Thrive program that will further advance our mental health and wellness initiatives. I want to emphasize again, we can look confidently to our future. Indeed, the college is living up to its motto, Provida Futuri. Thank you, and welcome today.
Thank you so much, President Oliver. Just on behalf of our entire team, the entire FLC and Family Association, I just want to thank you so much for your service and for joining us here today. Much appreciation to you and all of your work. I would also—
Got my swag.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. I would also like to take this time to welcome and introduce our co-presidents of the Family Leadership Council, Shari Simon and Jamie Rhodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brandon. President Oliver, that was wonderful. So thank you as well. Hello, everyone. As Brandon said, I'm Shari Simon. I have two daughters at Pitzer, one in the class of 22 and one in the class of 25. As co-presidents of the FLC, Jamie and I want to begin by thanking all of you for joining us today. I want to start by sharing that I'm truly, truly excited to be here. There's no doubt that, like everyone else, I miss being at Pitzer. I mean, there's nothing better. But last night, upon meeting some new families and then watching a son and mom play the trivia game, separated by over 3,000 miles, one at Pitzer, one in New Jersey, I was reminded by how truly special this community is and how amazing it is that even in a virtual environment, that we can have so much fun together and connect so deeply. I don't believe there's a single person amongst us that doesn't know how difficult these past 2 years have been for our students, our families, and the entire Pitzer community, which is why when we learned that the focus of this year's Family Weekend was going to focus on mental wellness and well-being, it was easy for those of us involved on the Family Council to get behind this. So while our Family Weekend is virtual, This is still a weekend for enjoying time with our students and building connection with other families and with the college. It's also an opportunity for learning. Today's lineup is fantastic, with a faculty-led seminar-style discussion, just like what our students experience, starting just about every hour between 10 and 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., there's an open house, followed by an update at 4 from our Pomona Pitzer Athletics Director. And then at 5, and this is really important, please join us on Wonder for our class socials. There's no doubt in my mind that if we all fully engage, and by this, I mean turn on our cameras. It's okay if you're in pajamas or if your hair is messy. Ask questions. Come to all the post-seminar conversations on Wonder, or just come on Wonder and hang out. Think of it as the Mounds. I promise that we'll all be smiling come Sunday afternoon, as each and every one of us shares with our own families and friends how excited and delighted we are that our child, or as in my case, children, chose to attend Pitzer, and how wonderful it feels to be a part of the Pitzer community. Jamie?
Thank you, Shari. And hello, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. My name is Jamie Rhodes, and I have a son in Pitzer's class of 2022, graduating this spring, which is super exciting. As co-president of the Family Leadership Council, I really want to echo Shari's comments. Family Weekend is such a unique time here at Pitzer. It's a chance to get to know the college and the remarkable people that are helping your students, all of our students, learn and grow in this kind of golden window of time of sort of growth and transition into adulthood. And particularly with all the challenges of the last 2 years, I'm so grateful for the chance to be here with all of you. So thank you again for joining us this morning. On that note, I also want to acknowledge and thank the many people here at Pitzer who have been working tirelessly to address all the issues that have been impacting our community for these last few years. There have been a lot of challenges. It has not always been smooth sailing, but as a member of the Family Leadership Council, I've had kind of a unique window to see firsthand the thoughtfulness and care that has gone into each of the decisions the college has taken to navigate these times. And it's also why I'm so particularly happy to be able to support the Family Weekend Fundraising Challenge to advance mental wellness programs on campus. I encourage all of those of you who are able to join me in this by visiting the Family Giving Challenge page on Pitzer's website. But I also want to point out that there are lots of other ways to support our students here at Pitzer. The Family Leadership Council, the Ambassador Program, the Office of Career Services, all provide volunteer opportunities for Pitzer family members. And if any of those things sound interesting to you, please follow the link in the chat, which should appear momentarily. Fill out the interest card and we will get you more information on ways that you can get more involved here on campus. On that note, I'd also encourage all of you to join me and Shari and Caroline and Linda at the Family Leadership Council's open meeting tomorrow morning. It's a chance for you to meet all the council members and see what we do and how we work together to support the college. In the meantime, I'm really looking forward to all the great sessions scheduled for today that Shari just outlined, beginning with this morning's panel, where we're going to hear from Vince Greer about student and 5C experience, from Kristen and Josh about housing selection and residential life, and from my fellow FLC members, Caroline and Linda, about our online community here at Pitzer. So with that, I'd like to thank you all again for joining us this morning and turn things over to Vince. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Shari. I really appreciate it. I want to first start by just acknowledging and thanking President Oliver for the incredible sacrifice, how much you've given the Pitzer community and just the larger higher education community over your entire career. You've been a trailblazer for so many, and I truly look up to you, and that's one of the reasons I'm here now. So I just wanted to personally thank you for that. For folks I haven't had an opportunity to get to meet yet, again, I'm Vince Greer. I serve as our Dean of Students here. I've been in the role, it's closing in on 3 months. It started at the beginning of December. So, and it's just been an awesome ride. Prior to my time here at Pitzer, I was across the street, so I was in the dark side, but I came over and I saw the light, and I'm not back. And so these first 3 months, as I've said, or close to 3 months, has been absolutely incredible. And I really think it speaks to the tremendous resiliency that our student body has, for starters. But even beyond that, there's been just such a collaborative effort across, and that's very much a part of the Pitzer community. And one of the things I've greatly appreciated is that we're never doing this alone, right? And so we're leaning into all our many partners and constituents, you know, our faculty, our fellow staff, our parents. It's truly a collective effort, but it's all about the students. And what I've seen from our students is just, again, been an incredible amount of grace and resiliency. You know, we throw that term unprecedented times around pretty loosely these days, but we are in those times. And our students have had to make concessions and adjustments to their student experience. And yet at the same time, they have found a way and have still managed to really continue to foster some incredible community. And so, you know, I want to highlight a couple of things in particular that's really sort of stood out for me. Even with us being back within the first couple of weeks or month now, I should say, our testing, our students have been so consistent in their testing, for instance. And this is a big part of the student experience right now, because this allows us to be able to stay without any sort of interruptions or disruptions of any sorts. Not only that, our students have resumed incredible programs and events. I was so excited yesterday. A big shout out to Campus Life. We had our Palantine social and student club fair on the mountains, and it was about 25 student orgs. And this was really one of the first opportunities that I had to really make the rounds with students beyond just over the screen. And you're talking about an absolutely incredible experience to see students interacting, music playing, learning more about all of the awesome student orgs that we have on campus, as well as 5C. And it really felt like that college experience that we've all yearned over the last 2 years. But even with these sort of modifications and how we've had to adjust our pathway forward, even at times where it's been a little not always clear, we've cleared the way, right? We don't always get to control, you know, we have a windstorm and trees come down and those sort of things, but we always find a way to clear a path. And that's been a collective effort. I think a lot about our Strive to Thrive program. As mentioned earlier, we're putting a heavy emphasis on mental health and well-being. And we really want our students to feel tremendously resourced. And so our team within OSA has been really plugged into the community to provide those resources, but also we really tapping into our consortial resources as well too. This is one of those things that's just truly ongoing work, right? This is just, you know, a lot of pressure in some unique times, but nevertheless, we're still pushing through. I also wanted to give a shout out. We're in an interesting time period in the semester where we're starting to really think about our leadership, our student leadership, and the turnover. And so, you know, before we know it, we'll start those RA hiring and our different student leaders, orientation, and all these things before you blink an eye. And I know Kirsten and Josh will talk about some great updates later with residential life. Career services is really continuing to get our students prepared for the summers and internships and for our outgoing students' life after Pitzer. So we are busy. Also commencement, right? So these are things that we're so excited about, and being able to have that opportunity to do that in person again. So there's never a boring time in OSA right now. And again, our partnerships across have been so critical. But I've just been so excited to be able to build some individual relationships with students and really start to do the work, right? You know, it's bigger than just those meetings, but really starting to build some meaningful relationships. So I'll pause there for a moment, mostly because I'm really excited to sort of dive in later when within a Q&A and give some more specifics and answer questions. But I also want to give, a huge shout out to Sandy Vasquez, who is our Vice President of Student Affairs, our fearless leader, who has really been steering the ship in so many ways. And we truly can do it without the larger OSA team as well. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleagues, Kirsten and Josh, who are really crushing it residentially, especially during these times. And I allow them to give you a little bit of an update of some of the great work that they're doing as well. So welcome, everyone. So excited to have a little FaceTime with you all today.
Thank you, Vince. Great to have you from, what did you say, across the street, the dark side? I like it. come to the light. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for being here virtually. Like everyone has said, we are very lucky to be able to be on our campus this year, and it's been such a wonderful joy to see our campus come back together and really reunite in everything that it is to be a small liberal arts college in this age. So Josh and I are really excited to be able to share with you all kind of what our plans are for residence life and housing selection for this coming fall. And you may hear a small child in the background, a future Pitzer student there, although my husband would probably argue with me, different Claremont College worker over there. Josh and I are excited to talk about next fall, and I know it might seem like a long time away, but we spent a lot of time over the past year kind of preparing our families and partnering with families about what the return to campus was going to look like and what to anticipate, and all the different, safety measures that would be in place, all the different ways we were going to try to approach things, in the Pitzer way, yet also differently, because we needed to. And so we thought this was a great opportunity, and thank you so much for those in family relations to bring us in and talk more about kind of slightly a more return to normal, like things, even more than where we're at right now. So a lot of what we're about to share, if you're got a graduating student here in spring 2022, doesn't apply to you. Your student has been through housing selection and has done all what they need to do, and now they get to go out to the real world and find housing for themselves. And so we're going to share things for those who are kind of our rising folks, our rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors who are about to go through our returning student housing selection. And of course, we wouldn't be who we are without a little share screen presentation here. So here's who me and Josh are as a friendly reminder. We're gonna go over these things today just briefly, and I think one big takeaway I'd hope you all get from this presentation is that we want your students to come talk with us. This is, our chance to talk with you all as families, but I hope it gives you enough to talk with your student kind of about their plans for next year, about what they think they might want in housing for next fall, help them make some good decisions, but ultimately encourage them to come talk to us, encourage them to take these next steps, to meet those deadlines, to get their groups together, all those things. So you all are kind of the powerhouse behind making your students, make sure they take those actions and next steps for us. So here's a bunch of the stuff we're going to go over again in brief for you all today. I wanted to just make sure we have an acknowledgement up top as we all experienced over this past year. Even the best laid plans, need to get reassessed once in a while when it comes to how our response to COVID-19. And so we're already looking towards next fall, trying to anticipate what it could look like. But, we all know that that's kind of futile these days to try to anticipate waves and surges and all of that. But we've been doing exceptionally well, as Vince said, with meeting requirements for testing, for vaccination, masking, whatever it might be. Our students have risen to that challenge and have shown their ability to keep each other safe, in the most trying circumstances. And so I wanted to make sure we acknowledge that we are still going to be responsive, right? That even though we're going to go through kind of what we think the plan is for next fall, it doesn't mean that in the middle of summer, if we're experiencing something, we may have to change move-in plans again. We may have to put more, barriers around who can be on campus and the expectations for, who's allowed to move somebody in and all of that. So just, as always, stay tuned, look at our websites, review those emails, because we will for sure be distributing that information. As you all are not on our beautiful campus, I wanted to make sure to remind you kind of what our housing options are. Many of our current first year students are living in the beautiful Pitzer, Atherton, Sanborn, and Scandera halls this year. Our first year class is a little bigger than usual, so they were in Scandera this year, but next fall we should be back to all of our first years within Pitzer, Atherton, and Sanborn halls again. And so West, East Scandera, Mead Hall, and then Pitzer at CCA, the Claremont Collegiate Apartments. So those are kind of our three major residential complexes for our upper class students. West East Scandera look very similar to our first year halls, beautiful, built in 2012, but it's, 2 double rooms connected by a bathroom for the majority of those rooms, just like our first year community. Mead Hall has that kind of suite style, community style living with 4 to 8 people, usually 8 people living together in doubles and singles with that shared common room. It's a really quintessential Pitzer experience there with that shared living environment right next to the mounds and newly upgraded air conditioning systems and furniture last summer, which our students have been highly enjoying. So definitely a highly sought after community. And then Pitzer at CCA, our Claremont Collegiate Apartments. We have over 150 students currently and next year that will be living out at Pitzer at CCA. It's a community we currently share with Scripps College. They have about 60 students living out there. So between Pitzer and Scripps, we're occupying out at CCA. And those really range 2-bed, 1-bath apartments, 3-bed, 2 baths, those kind of styles. So it is still, you have someone you live with, but it's a little bit more independent. You have a kitchen. You can be on the 5-meal plan. You can cook for yourself, kind of gain some of those life skills and maybe some of that more quiet study if you're looking for something different than main campus. And I did want to, just dwell on that for a moment to say, Pitzer at CCA is still a newer experience. This will be kind of our 4th year working with them and having students live out there. We now have a shuttle that goes out there very regularly. Every half hour, we got a shuttle going around. That shuttle also goes to Target now. So it's really great improvements that are happening to that community and that experience. And I think our students are really starting to like it a lot. A lot of them are seeing the advantage, especially those who kind of want that apartment style independence, but maybe are sitting abroad for half the year, and finding a semester lease in Claremont when you're sitting abroad is not going to happen. So still having an opportunity to kind of have best of both worlds at Pitzer at CCA. And we do have quite a few students that still live off campus. And so Pitzer doesn't have enough housing to house all of our students. And so I like to make sure families know that it is completely normal for folks as they go through our residential experience from their first year to their senior year to start thinking about maybe living off campus. So we have about 175 to 200 students that live off campus each year, 30% of seniors, 20% of juniors. And so a lot of different reasons folks are making that decision, but I hear students that want to live with other Claremont College students. They want to live with friends at Scripps or CMC. That's a way that they can do it off campus. There's a lot of apartment complexes nearby that are kind of student communities still in their own right, just kind of with a mix of the Claremont College's students there. So that's definitely an option as well. And it is based on approval. Students do need to ask for permission to live off campus, as we do only have a certain number of students we can allow to live off campus. So it's still a deadline that they have to apply for every year to get permission to live off. I think I'm going to hand it over to Josh now to start highlighting a few of the changes for literal housing selection as he works most closely with that process.
Yes, hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you for joining us for this. We're going to just cover the sort of the 5,000-foot view of housing selection. And as Kirsten was saying, supporting your students in navigating this process. And we definitely want to extend a great thank you to our families throughout the past few years. I was telling Kirsten, it's only been, the last, 2 years, but we've rebuilt this process several times as we've accommodated what's going on in the world. So this is our current plan right now, and these are our highlighted changes. And I want to say all of these changes have been passed through student leaders, students' eyes, part of our student engagement. This is something that's really important to us. That we very rarely do we launch something entirely without students seeing it and getting some feedback first. So for highlighted changes from what perhaps you saw last year, we have 4 major changes that we're talking about. We're looking to sort of expand the accommodation process. We've heard a lot of students who are looking for substance-free housing, which is a historical program that we would like to try and bring back. Students who are looking for specific housing due to some sort of status, to talk to us about our accommodation process and trying to work around what validation and documentation can look like so that we can get really intentional housing for them. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. We're looking at cross-class suites. This is sort of something that was normal that we're bringing back. This is basically to say that there's no specific sophomore year experience as there was for fall 2020. That means that sophomores and juniors and seniors can all live intersuite. They can group together. And that also means that juniors and seniors can live in West East Scandera, which we heard a lot of feedback Those are our newest halls, and juniors, seniors not being able to do that last time because of the sophomore year experience. Now they can. New meal plan sizes. I've been at Pitzer 5 or 6 years, and I've never seen new meal plan sizes. And this is a lot of feedback we've heard from families as well as students, and we've been able to implement that for this upcoming year. And so a 14 and a 19 meal plan. The 19 is every meal, which is what we often hear from incoming students and their families. Why not every meal? So that's now available. And then mead suite selection. We heard a lot of feedback around mead. As Kirsten was saying, that is a quintessential Pitzer experience. It's also 8 people in doubles and singles, which can be kind of hard to coordinate around. So we want to support students in having a really specific track just for that process. If that's what students want and they've got 8 people, we will support them as much as we can. So the housing selection, like I said, I'm not going to get into super details, but there's 3 sort of main phases of it. We use our housing selection software called Residence. So if we ever talk about Residence, students they have their own portal that they can navigate these things with. They can also see their own meal plan assignments, their housing assignments, the roommates, suite mates. That's where a lot of notes are. And 3 main phases that we go through for the general housing, for the process that majority of our students go through. They're going to apply for housing, which is basically saying, I would like on-campus housing. And then they will do roommate grouping and room explore. They'll make their groups, mostly groups of 4, unless they're doing that mead process. And then the group leader will, at a certain point during their selection time, pick the suite, pick the rooms, pick the beds. And those are the 3 main steps. So it's okay to take a breath. This is our flow chart. This is how my brain works. And we work through students, basically pick your path. And it's a lot simpler. We just launched our off-campus process, and that will be open for the next few weeks. And we told students as we launch this, we're going to give you all the information, but take a breath. It's going to take the next two months to go through this. For students who are looking to do that off-campus process, off-campus approval, that application is now available on their residence. So if you know your student wants that, recommend that they look at their residence portal. The accommodation process, like we said, we're going to be a little bit more, try to be expansive around that and support students when they feel like they need accommodation, talk to us and we can see what we can do to get really intentional housing for them. It's the similar processes, they're going to apply and we will review that application and work with them to see how we can support that accommodation request. And then we will do a housing assignment. So in order to make sure we can meet that accommodation, we will assign them a space. If students don't want that, they can go through the selection process where they choose. And then that orange path is the majority of what our students go through with those 3 main processes where they're going to apply, they will make groups, and then they will have their group leader select the space. The only little offshoot there is that mead group, April 8th, groups of 8. If they have a group of 8, we will lock them together. They can't get out of that group and we will put them into just mead full suites and they can have their suite. We will be able to tell them, you will have a suite, you will select which one, or there were too many people that applied, you will go through the general selection process. So really trying to support those really complex suites. So yeah, this is just an overview in terms of accommodations. We that's really trying to be intentional with housing. So we do that before selection happens, and we offer that to students. They can still opt out and do selection on their own if they would like. The mead groups of 8 will be pre-approved and said, there's a space for you somewhere during, let's see. So the priority date, the selection time, it's first by a class and then by submission time. So seniors will have the best times, juniors will have second best, and then sophomores. The groups, the best time in the group is the group's time. So if there's a senior in that group, it's going to be their time, if that makes sense. So sophomores might be good to get a senior friend somewhere. And then as Kirsten was saying, the Pitzer, Atherton, Sanborn halls will be sort of blocked off for our first year class. The general timeline, like I said, the off-campus application has posted. It's open, and we'll be rolling acceptances for the next few weeks. Throughout March will be the application phases for that accommodation process, as well as the general housing process. Again, it's mostly apply at that point. And then April is when we are getting into making those groups, looking at rooms available, and selecting those beds. And then for our first years, that's all summer, for if you have an incoming first year student.
Great, thank you, Josh. And like you said, we've been through a lot of planning, so it's really refreshing to us to actually get back to something that's pretty normal in terms of a timeline of selecting beds and helping students navigate that process. And we'll be happy to answer a lot more questions that you all have, so you really have the tools you need to support your students in meeting these expectations, these deadlines, thinking about what supportive housing environment might look like for them next fall. So encourage your students to reach out to us after this, but please know Josh and I will be available at the 2 open houses that are happening later today, I think noon and 3 o'clock our time here. So definitely swing by if you want to have a conversation about your student specific needs or questions that you might have about why we're doing things the way we're doing. And we'd be happy to help you then. And I will pass it off. So thank you so much for the time. Hopefully that was helpful for folks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsten and Josh. I think up next we have a special presentation from our FLC Vice President and also our coach or chair of the Engagement and Volunteer Engagement and Events Committee, Linda and Caroline. So thank you both for joining us today.
Good morning. I will start off first. We wanted to share about Facebook and the school's page. Facebook is one of a few media platforms the school uses to offer information. The Pitzer College Family Association page is a place of prideful community, a place of inclusion, a place for all backgrounds to communicate and share amongst the full group membership. The membership spans from grandparents, family members, and caregivers, alumni globally and nearby, interested community groups, a plethora of affinity groups, the inquisitive future freshmen and their families, and possibly even younger siblings that are minors. Our students and their multiple circles are friends here. The information shared reaches far and wide, as well as with Instagram and Twitter pages to many folks we have yet to meet and engage with. As parents and caregivers, this is an opportunity to connect as a whole community, embrace our collegiate students embarking on their own path. The thoughts and queries shared on Facebook are so welcome, and we expect that you will peruse our social medias to get to know all about us, the school's leadership, our spectacular faculty and staff, the Family and Alumni Board leadership, Student Senate, Student Affairs, Career Services, Athletics, and many others. For sure, there's much to be with pride and delightfully share. There will be times when social media may not be the platform to pose your inquiry and comment. Resolution assistance may involve a particular flavor or specificity. Our school resources are robust, and we encourage you to start there with the many dynamic pages and links. You're always welcome to reach out to school departments and staff, and of course, any of us on the Family Leadership Council. In our commitment to Pitzer's motto of being mindful of future, words and thoughts are things, and all perspectives matter. While the situation we are in is by far much longer than any of us expected, let's bring on continued grace, diplomacy, inclusivity, patience, and kindness. And to quote President Oliver, the Pitzer way. Thank you. Let's go, Caroline, you're next.
All right, here we go. So I want to talk to everybody just quickly about the private Pitzer College Family Association page. It's a group, and I'm going to invite all of you to join us on this page. There's almost 900 of us here. And the purpose of this page is to take our community and build it out and enjoy it 24/7 all across the world. I can go on there at 2 a.m., 10 a.m. We can go on there at any time, and we're going to find our community here. And so the way people have been using this page is to share hidden gems and fun things. So like right now during Parent Weekend, I'm hoping to see pictures of people maybe sitting in their pajamas with their messy hair, enjoying the weekend. You know, use this page to share your favorite artwork on campus, favorite restaurants, share things about, like, you know, a little spot where you like to sit with your student when you are on campus, or something interesting that your student has done in town, because this is again where we start to share information. It's a great place also to pose questions such as graduation's coming. Where do people stay? Okay, and so here's the hint, Ontario. This is where my family loves to go. By the Ontario airport, there's a lot of different hotels, but that's the kind of data you want to find on there. And that's the kind of data you want to share. You know, just the other day, some parents were on there asking about where can they find a bakery that can make a gluten-free cake for their student? And several people jumped in and shared. Someone else was looking for an optometrist for their student. They shared there. It's a great spot for this. And also, like Linda was saying, you know, if you need to find contacts or find some things on campus and you're not quite sure where to go, you can always ask on there. Staff monitors this. They're able to jump in and give you a hand. And again, like Linda was saying too, it's a very inclusive environment. Everybody is welcome. Bring anything. If you're celebrating New Year, Lunar New Year, and you just want to share your custom, come on. I mean, again, we're a community and this is our spot. And the rules on this page are basically in line with Facebook in general, how people function, you know, being respectful, no venting, fighting, just so you know that's there. But lastly, this group, which I just really love and use, is to stay up to date. Like I actually forgot to register for Family Weekend. I had in my head, I had it done, but no, it did not actually happen. And so when I went to the Facebook group and I saw the reminders, it really helps me. But if you really do want a fast snapshot into what's happening on campus and things that are taking place, like the True Equity series and things like that, this is another great place to drop into. But overall, this page is used and this private group is used to just uplift each other. It's been tough. I mean, this is what we're all talking about right now, right? It's been 2 years longer than we ever thought. My son graduated in 2020 and left campus thinking hopefully he'll be back for graduation, and he will this May, but it's 2 years later. And so this group for me has just been a lifeline to the people I met. I've made new friends there. I've discovered people in Reno, Nevada on this group. So I just really encourage everybody to use this, you know, 24/7 virtual lifeline when we go back physically in place, to stay connected and to share and to help. And also, I think it's really important for our students who have families that live overseas or at a distance to stay connected with us. So I hope you all get onto Facebook, search for the page, tag me on things, ask questions. I hope to see you all there. And I guess I turn it back to you, Brandon, to take us off, I think, into Q&A next.
Yes, thank you so much, Caroline and Linda. Excuse me, my goodness. I think what we're going to do is sort of open it up for questions. I see there's a question in the Q&A, but I also want to point to the chat and thank you so much, Josh, for answering some of those questions already. If anyone on the call has questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. We can go ahead and answer some of those. Let's see. First question is there optimism that students will be issued more than 2 tickets for graduation given the improving trends in California's smarter approach? Let's see, Vince, is that a question you might be able to?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm happy to hop in. What we want to do is continue to monitor the trends, and it's certainly moving in the right direction. And you know, I'm the type of person never want to overpromise and underdeliver. And so what we'll say is that we are steadily monitoring and really sort of following the guides of LA County in terms of their guidelines. And so we do want to be transparent and continue to stay in communication with the community. We do recognize, given what we've been through over the last 2 years, you know, there's a balance of maintaining safety, but also recognizing, you know, this is an incredible moment in families and everyone's lives to be able to witness the commencement in person. So we're committed to moving in that direction if safety allows for that, but you know, there's certainly going to be a process of making sure we cover all our bases with that. And you know, one thing we've learned about, you know, our time in the pandemic is we have to be as nimble and really, you know, as flexible as possible in these times. Hopefully we're moving in the right direction, though. It looks like it.
Thanks so much, Vince. Our next question here is, let's see, what year students are eligible for the need groups of 8? What happens if you apply for the 8 and don't get to get it? Do you go to the bottom of the list for the second choice, and do sophomores even really have a shot? Kirsten, thank you so much for tackling that question.
No problem. This is what we do every day. Because Mead's a great community, but yeah, it does take a really specific thing to get in there. So Mead is 4 people on each side of the common room, and those 4 people on each side is 1 double with 2 people and then 2 singles. And so because our single rooms on campus, you have to be either disability qualified to live in a single, or a junior or a senior. And so, you know, all groups of sophomores can't live together, 8 people together in Mead, because there's 4 singles in there and sophomores aren't qualified for single rooms. And so that's why Josh was saying it's, you know, it's really important for those groups that want to live in Mead to find an interclass suite. So like, so find some folks that are both sophomores or juniors maybe, and want to live in a double room still with you. And then some seniors that want to live in those single rooms and have really good housing selection numbers, right? Oftentimes the number of students that can actually get themselves together in 8-person groups that want to live both in doubles and singles, oftentimes there's not, you know, that it's pretty hard to do. And so not everybody does it. And so if you do it, it's pretty good likelihood you're going to get a suite. And with our new process this year, you can rest assured that if you apply on time and we review and you get approved, you're going to get a suite. And then during housing selection, it's just your group leader, that one person with the best housing selection time, or that one person you designate, that actually has to log in on time to select which of the many suites we have available. And so you could have, you know, an 8-person group, not with a senior and really good selection time, but still get approved. You might just have the last of our 20-odd 8-person suites, the last choice. And so you may still get approved as a group, not with a senior in it, but you may not have a good choice of which one it is. It might just be whichever one is left at the end. So if you don't get an 8-person approved, or you only could get 6 people together, those are often the groups we, you know, end up denying, because you have to have a full 8-person group. Then yes, you do go down to this lower process, this orange process on the bottom. And so that's what's nice about the pre-approval, is you don't have to reorganize yourselves in the same moment. You're going to know a few days in advance, oops, our 8-person didn't get approved. So you got a couple of days here to figure out, how do we want to reorganize ourselves into maybe 2 groups of 4, so that we can live in West, East, and Scandera halls? Or do we want to split up into smaller groups of 2, and because we want single rooms out of the Claremont Collegiate Apartments? And so you're still going to get something, but not that 8-person group if you didn't get pre-approved. Hopefully answered that.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any more in the Q&A. Switching through the chat. Feel free to write them in. Okay. Well, if not,
can I say something, Brandon?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I know no one's asked it here, but someone asked it in the private chat with us. I just wanted to acknowledge and thanks folks for their patience with the norovirus situation that was going on the past few weeks. I know we didn't say it on the notes here, I think, in our conversation, because we're looking forward a lot, and I'm gonna knock on lots of things, but hopefully that is in our rear view, right, Vince? We've been working really hard on campus to you know, knock that down and support our students impacted. And I know you know, everyone from Dean of Students and facilities and dining services, everyone's been coming together to support our students. And so I just wanted to reiterate and say thanks for your support, your concerns, letting us know, you know, when something was up, and we responded quickly, you know, partnered with LA County Health and inspectors, and had everyone on campus working hard along with our student health services. So we are, I can't even say it out loud, Vince, I'm scared to say it, but we're at least a few days without any cases. And, you know, as long as that trend, which is great, it was definitely, you know, rolling there for a little bit. So it's been 4 or 5 days here without anything popping up. And so we do think we've kicked it at the moment, right, Vince?
Yes, we're actually closing in on a week. And so this will be an awesome direction, because at that point, it'll allow us to not have some of the restrictions we've had to have in place. And I would just reiterate all of the things that Kirsten has said, but also really give a huge thanks to our students, because they've been awesome partners in this. And so we had to distribute you know, cleaning supplies, disinfecting supplies, and that's really what's helped curb this, because at one point, you know, we were like, whoa, these are just sort of popping out on, you know, on a daily basis. And nothing that's like over the top, but enough that is concerning, right? You know, if we're in a residential community, you don't want to have any of this going on. So To see us turn that corner now is a clear indicator that everyone's been doing their best to be more vigilant of their hygiene and cleaning and disinfecting surfaces. So it's knock on wood, we're about 2 days away from being a little bit over a week, so we're closing in on it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Vince. Thanks, Kirsten. And thank you, everyone. I want to be mindful of not just the time, but if there are any questions. If not, I'm going to pass it back over to Shari and Jamie to close this out. But I want to thank our entire panel and all of our attendees for joining us this morning. Shari, Jamie.
Right. Just had to unmute. I just really want to encourage everyone to take the 30 seconds that is required to join us on Wonder. It takes 10 seconds to create your profile. It's a really amazing platform. You can go to all sorts of different places on campus. You can see the topical areas that are already signed. But if you just want to meet up with other families, that is a great place to do it. So please don't be intimidated. Please join us. Last night after one of the seminar lectures, a group of us joined on with the professor and with Professor Rodriguez, and we stayed on for another 30 minutes. And it was a lovely opportunity to hear even more about the truly amazing things that he does in his classroom. So please, I just encourage you to take advantage of that. Plus, I want to meet all of you, really, every single one of you. So I'll be there throughout the day.
And
Jamie?
I guess I just want to thank everybody for joining us this morning again. I'm really looking forward to this next day and a half and to being able to connect with each of you on Wonder and in all the various sessions moving forward. It's such a wonderful weekend and a chance to visit with you all. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all the panelists for the presentations. And let's go enjoy Family Weekend.
Thanks,
See you soon.
everyone. Take care.
Thank you.